9, 10 years old.
Gotcha.
So I was, and like I could go into my mind and create plays and think of people I was versing and be like, okay, against this guy, I know he dropped his shoulder hair, and I had a clipboard at 11 where I'd write stuff down. Like I didn't even go that hard anymore.
Man.
But I created that logical mind that really helped me, and so when I did get nervous, I could sort of pull myself out of that a little bit. But on the field, it was always just instinct took over, and I really loved it. But it was that 30 minutes before the game where I would almost want to cry.
Bro, that was me. So it's cool to hear that you worked through that and you became what you are now. But that's what made me leave the game. That overwhelming feeling of pressure.
Crippling.
Yeah, I gave up rather than push through it. And you talk about endurance and what I've been through in the last 15 years or so, and yourself as well. Understanding that the more you go through that tough shit, the tougher you get. And I just wish I knew that when I was younger, but that's why I do what I do now, helping younger guys understand and younger women understand that the hard times will come. But, at that age, it's cool to think that your dad taught you those things. Yeah. What did your dad do? Why was he in that state of mind to give you those tools at such a young age?
My dad was a minister.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, at Anglican church.
Yep.
But he's always been a very creative type. Like, he's got big energy.
Played music?
No music.
Yeah, right.
Sang a bit.
Yeah, nice. Can you sing?
Leading the good. No, I can. I do
Let's
now.
go there.
I wouldn't say I can hold a tune too well, but I actually sing quite a bit now. I feel like it's a good exercise to speak your voice and when you're hearing tones, it's all vibration, right?
Raising your vibration.
Yeah. I played with a few things like that, but I actually went through a stage. It was when I was 13. I remember I was playing for Burleigh Bears and we were playing Runaway Bay, and they were the other top team.
Yep.
I remember before a game, I was so close to quitting, and I literally sat with myself for half an hour before the game, went in a room my own, and I was like, if this is what my life's going to be like, I don't want to play rugby. So I was like, from that moment, I'm going to choose that. I'm going to have fun with it, and I'm just going to be open with it. And then had the best game of the season, that game, and then I took that from sort of 13 onwards. That's sort of how I approach footy. Obviously, you still get nervous. I think that's a great part of it, because when my body starts feeling those nerves, even before a game, your body knows what's coming. You're ahead of time, linear time. So you're clearing yourself out. Like you're going to the bathroom, your body's getting ready. If you need more sleep, it's telling you all these things to prepare for the battle you got ahead. But yeah, at 13, I had that crippling feeling as well, where I was just like, I put so much pressure on myself to perform. Imagine a 13-year-old, like...
They don't know how to deal with that.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to deal with that until probably 5 or 6 years ago. I'm 32 now. You're the same age, yeah?
Yeah.
Turning 32 soon?
32, yeah.
Next month, isn't it?
Yeah, July.
Yeah. So, to go back to the players we would have played with, obviously anyone listening, James and I played against each other during rep carnivals and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He was known as Rabbit. All I could hear was Rabbit on the field. This dude's just darting around, like setting tries up.
Stepping. We'll try to do anyway.
Dude, and it was just epic to think that, a few years later, I see you, debuting as the youngest player for Super Rugby and also the Wallabies. Like that transition, that day was so, I guess, catalytic for your growth in saying that if this is the pressure that's going to be on me, I'm going to enjoy it. So it's like letting go of expectations and just being present, which is, as you would know now, meditation bringing us present, right? And people think, and I've said this a few times recently, it's like everyone thinks it has to be this mystic, like fucking like sit down, hum and all this sort of stuff. And it's like, no, just find yourself, be in boredness.
Yeah.
We can't be bored anymore.
Yeah.
It's like that's if you got 10 minutes, you're like, I got to scroll my phone, I got to this. It's like, be with yourself.
Yeah.
I'm sure in those moments, which you just did, that may have saved your career at 13 years old.
100%. Well, I was looking at other guys as well who didn't take it anywhere near as seriously as me, because I was pretty good when I was young. Like, there's always sort of that guy on the field who runs around, like might run around the whole team and this or that. I was pretty quick. Yep. But I was like, these guys are having so much more fun in the game, and I have as much fun as them at training. Like, why, like, how am I getting lost here? And it's funny that Johnny said the same thing.
Yeah.
That literally he can go to a carnival now and actually, shoot hoops and have fun
Just
with it. Whereas before, like, I remember when I was speaking to him in Toulon, like he hadn't finished a round of golf in like 2 years or whatnot, because he didn't want to put that pressure on himself to have to beat a score. And I was like, and he's a great golfer. He's good at anything he touches. But I thought that was a pretty incredible thing. And so at 13, I sort of found that. I stumbled across it. It wasn't like, it was a conscious choice. It was.
But you weren't aware that it was a conscious choice.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that. I was just like, I was just like, hey, I'm going to change my approach to this game, and then it actually worked the first game, which is the best thing that ever happened to me. Because if I hadn't have played well in that game, then maybe I would have reverted back, or I would have quit.
Sheesh. So
I'm pretty sure my personality would have just reverted back to that muscle through, force over power. Just got to get it done. It's do or die.
That's interesting, because I wonder. Because you obviously weren't a very big kid as well, right? Like, you just had to rely on your intelligence, your skills, your speed, that sort of stuff. And there would have been guys you would have been playing with that were just absolute monsters. And that in itself builds resilience. But did you notice that? This is what I noticed as I was growing up. I was like 6'5" by the time I was 10. So I didn't have to really go through adversity of size. But I definitely felt the difference when guys started catching up to my size. But I pushed through that. I didn't give up. I didn't just say, oh, fuck this. Everyone else is as good as me now. Because we had a lot of big, like the big poly boys and stuff that are amazing. A lot of my good mates were so good. 16-year-olds come around and everyone's just as big.
Everyone sort of levels out. See, I was the opposite. I was the small kid, being told I was too small all the time. And I was like that's just my nature. I'm like, you tell me I can't do something, I'll prove to you that I can. I was like, I'll prove you wrong, which is very different to how I sort of approach it now. But as a young guy, it was like, nah, he's too small. Like, I didn't get picked in the Broncos rep team because the head selector said I was too small. And then a year later, I was signed with the Eagles.
Who was the head selector at that time?
That was Cyril Collins.
It was Cyril?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he said I was too small.
Which is funny because he was small too.
Yeah, he was.
You know, I'm sure he respected kids like that. And we had one of my best mates growing up at Mountain Creek, Tyson Bruff. He'd get called out in the field, oh, get the flea, because he was tiny, man, like compared to us boys, but he ran us around the field like no other person could. Had the organisation, had us big dumb forwards know where to go, like second man plays and stuff like that. So
you have to develop that when you're small. Like, that was part of my skill set comes from it because I was smaller. Like, I would always speak, like I'd train with my older brother, speak with my dad, I had my little brother as well, and it would be like, your point of difference is going to be your skill set.
Of course.
So work on it. Hold a ball. Learn how to pass both hands. Learn how to step off both feet. Start kicking with both feet. And I think because I was so small at one stage, I think it was maybe like 12 or 13 where everyone just shot up, and I was like, there was guys, like you said, 6'5", 6'2", like some big poly boys, and I was still keeping up with them because I just adapted my game, and then once I started to grow, didn't grow big, I started to grow, like I filled out a bit, and then I could compete with them physically, but I had this skill set that I'd worked on because that was the only thing keeping me in the game before.
So here's a question, putting myself in the listener's seat. If there's someone listening that is, you know, younger, smaller, doesn't have the size and whatever, what would you say to them?
Oh, just stick with it. If you love it, you will stick with it.
It's worth it, hey?
Yeah, it is definitely worth it. Like, I look back on my life and I cherish it because, like, what an experience to be able to play and do what I love. There's been times where I've hated being a professional rugby player and being held to, like, a certain standard and had to live a certain way. But that was just where I was at in my life. That was just the experience I was meant to go through to be where I am now.
Of course, bro.
I feel very blessed that I've got to. My career has been playing rugby.
Yeah, and I guess getting into that, where this is the story I'm sure everyone wants to hear, but also I want to take a different route on it because I'm sure you're probably getting sick of telling it too. But
I'm interested to see the route.
So obviously, you know, we mentioned that you got to debut. You're the youngest Super Rugby and Wallaby ever.
Yeah, youngest Super Rugby. There was a guy who was younger than me, Wallaby, but yeah, youngest professional Wallaby.
So what was that feeling? How'd you deal with that? Because that would have been a lot of bright lights on you at that time.
I feel like that wasn't the difficult part. I was just like, you know, deer in headlights a little bit. I'd played Oz 7, so that playing in the Australian Sevens team and being able to mark everyone one-on-one and just know that, okay, individually one-on-one, I'm going to 80% of the time I can beat that first guy, and no one's got past me yet. So at the top level, there were still guys who I was playing at that I'd idolized. But once you tackle them once, you're like, oh, okay.
I can do this.
Tackle them again, you're like, oh, okay. Like, I got this. But when I'd catch that ball, it would just be pure instinct. I was like, don't get touched. Stepping backwards, forwards. And then you learn a little bit more about the game and you develop that. But off the field, it was, you're just constantly being fed until the first time your legs are chopped out, which was probably at 19 for me. And then you built up again, then they get chopped out again. And then that was the difficult part, I reckon, probably when I got to the age of maybe 21 to 23. By 21, I was sort of over it. And then by 23, I'd sort of broken myself and destroyed quite a few relationships, and I was just over footy.
I'd love to go into a few points there where you had, which we probably would say, those Phoenix moments where you were broken down, had to come up through the ashes kind of vibe. But what kept you going?
Probably it's funny that what kept me, it wasn't like a determination or anything like that. It was like, I'm expected to do this. This is like the gift I've been given.
Yeah, you're letting others down if you don't.
I'm letting others down. I'm letting my family down. And this is my craft. Like it definitely wasn't a conscious choice. And like the only thing keeping me going was I didn't want to let other people down, which then burdened me further, drained me further, and I hated that I felt that way about letting other people down, and I'd almost be angry at them, even though they're not even in the loop of decision making. I'd be angry at them for holding me to a standard.
Yeah, fuck you for wanting me to do
fuck
better.
You, Dad.
So it's like you're unconsciously throwing resentment towards these people that just want the best for you because they're putting almost their dreams and goals on you.
Yeah, but as well, like they didn't know what I was going through as well.
Of course,
because everyone just saw me fresh-faced, opening this door, opening that door. I was earning good money. I was having a good lifestyle. I was holidaying everywhere here. I was playing good footy. So it looks really good on the surface, but inside I was crumbling.
Why didn't you talk about it?
I didn't even know I didn't know that anyone else was going through this. I thought I was not special, but I thought this is just something that's happening to me. Like I hadn't heard, like the internet wasn't sort of, maybe it was, maybe I just wasn't good at it, but I don't
how
feel
old
like.
Are we?
I would have been, I was probably 21 when it started. I just thought if I speak in this and tell people this, I must, not weak, but it's like, then other people will find out and then the perception of me will change, or maybe I'll have to go to a facility, or maybe I'll have to do this. And I was so scared of like the public finding out that I was breaking, that I just like somehow just willed myself to hold it together.
Dude, that's huge.
Which is why when I'd get drunk, I'd fucking lose, like just be a pest.
So that's where a lot of it comes, right? That suppressed shit
anger,
is being expressed when the truth usually comes through when we're drunk, right?
Yeah.
All those primal needs that we don't access to. So something we talk about, something I've done with my events, and that is we get men to tap into their primal warrior mode, which is the masculine, the very masculine. So it's like fucking screaming in someone's face. Yeah. We had women watch it because what that did, it healed the women because they had been around, they'd been wounded by the masculine. Yeah. They'd seen that and they'd been hurt, domestic violence and that sort of stuff. In that moment, they saw that these men could tap into that stuff, release it because they need to. It's primal. It's built into us as a safety mechanism, but you can control it. Yeah. So you can yell it, get it off your chest, and you're calm. You're good.
You don't become it.
Yeah. And they saw that, and those 50 women that watched, those 50 men in that war pit, we called it, go off at each other and then just calm and then go chat. So after we did it, we went and sat in front of the women and shared what came up. So the women shared what came up for them, the men shared what came up for them, and we just had a conversation. I was like, okay, awesome. That was really healing. So exactly, if you had known at that time that if I just fucking go down to the water or something at the beach, scream under the water, it may have even helped you a little bit. Yeah. That's a really basic tip, but it's those things that we just don't understand. Like you said, you didn't have access to that information. So what was it that really helped you get through? Did you have just yourself to rely on? Or was it your partner, your parents? Like, was there someone that was your rock during that time?
Oh, my partner for sure.
Yeah.
Which I resented her for it during that time because she was the only one keeping me.
I wouldn't say alive, but just
holding me accountable to a certain level.
Just leave me alone.
Which I'd always like leave, come back, and I was always pushing the boundaries and whatnot. But there was always home where I'd come home, and it was like this is the level, like this is a love zone, and this is what we have an agreement that to be together and be in this space together, this is what's needed and this is what's required, and you can accept it or not.
That's powerful.
Yeah. Which again wasn't conscious. Yeah. At that. Well, maybe from her side it was, because I'm pretty sure it was a lot more conscious from her end. But from my end, it definitely wasn't. Which that's what I mean. I resented it for a time because it was like I wanted to do what Vinny Chase did and escape to an island just for a year. I was like, if I just can escape for like 3 months or 6 months, like I'll be good. Which is like when I left Australia, when I moved to the UK and France. Like I ran from it, and I was like, if I leave Australia's a problem. They followed me in my suitcase.
Man.
So
That's huge. So you get over there, obviously, and there's some things that happen over there. Like, do you think the way it was going, are you grateful for how it all worked out and what happened over in France and everything? Did you want to talk a bit about how it escalated so much over there? Is that because you didn't have that rock there anymore? You sort of...
No, it wasn't so much that. It was just, I felt like I was almost just like breaking down a little bit. Like my body was fatiguing. I was just, it's like it was my rock bottom. Like I just couldn't hold on to the game anymore. Like I couldn't fake it anymore that I was all good. So then I could do it for maybe 5 days a week, but then there'd be 2 days where I just couldn't fake it. I had no energy. I was fatigued. I was drained. I was depleted. And I just couldn't keep up the charade anymore. So that's when I'd have these moments. Like I said, I've said it before, I had seizures, a whole bunch of sort of different experiences, and I'm really grateful for them, because if it wasn't for them, I would have just kept on that little line of just being able to top myself up enough without destroying myself. And then these happened, and it was like, I need to do something about this now.
See, that seems to be a very common theme with my guests. We have those moments where our whole world's shattered. And we like finally realize, fuck, okay, I probably should do something now. It's like, I'm in hospital. I need to do something now. So after those seizures in particular, was that like, did you start to question your health a lot? Like you started to get real worried about that? Would that become in the front of your mind where it's like, shit, I could die any day kind of vibe? Or was it just something that it was just another thing?
Man, that's the crazy thing is I wasn't scared of dying. I wasn't scared of, I thought I was unbreakable. Even having these things, I was like, oh, sweet. I can't be touched. Like that was just how I felt. What I was afraid of was other people finding out I'd had these seizures and then drawing a conclusion of like, oh, he's had this because of that or because of this, and what's he doing? Let's look into let's examine his life under a microscope and then see me for what I was. That's what I was afraid of, which is probably what drove me to start fixing myself, was fear. And then I realized that wasn't working because there's no energy in fear, and then I had to flip it.
Wow, that's huge. Even just there's no energy in fear. So listening to that, anyone listening, it's if you want to look into something, look into the Hawkins scale of consciousness. I don't know if you've seen that before. Yeah. And if you're operating in a state of fear, it's very low vibrational. So there's a lot of people that become... We've all got those friends that are very pessimistic. It's like, oh, everything's always happening. This is shit. And it's like...
Attracted, eh?
Yeah, right. And it's like something and I'm sure people are getting sick of me saying this, but it's like your frequency is what you'll frequently see. So... whatever you're vibrating at is what you'll receive. So if we're vibrating in a state of joy, happiness and fulfillment, all these other beautiful things, what do you think life becomes? So if you're operating in that state of fear, then you're probably still operating it. Even though you're trying to get better, you're still having some shit things happen, right?
Well, constantly happen. It was like, can I get through a month without something happening? I remember I had this conversation with Quaid when we were probably we've had one recently, but it was happening sort of when we were 21. And it was like we would talk together, and it was like I'd just stuffed up, and we'd be like, come on, we can't stuff up, or it would be like, okay, you got to stuff up next, and then I takes a bit of heat off me almost. And with Curtly as well, but we just attracted, and I, for one, when I was over there, I just kept attracting these incidents and these accidents or injuries or just outbursts, or because that's where I was resonating with. That's
big. Do you feel like you grew really close with Quaid during that? Because that's like, in a way, unconsciously, you're helping each other through a hard time, right? Like it's not having those deeper conversations of, bro, I'm depressed, like I'm thinking about all these things, but you're just helping each other through like surface level stuff. Do you feel like you guys created a really cool bond through that situation?
Yeah, it was literally us against the world. It was we had a good tight group. Like it was me, Curtly, and Quaid, and we literally for 4 years we just stuck tight. And then Curtly and I were down in Melbourne, and then we had another little group as well down there where it was just like, but the idea was like, what we do together, like we keep that just between us.
Of course.
And no one else can come in, no one else can see what we do. It was just like, it was an us against the world sort of mentality, but because it was on the other end of the scale, so it was negative, it was towards that, but because it was a bond and we were together, it was like a brotherhood.
Exactly, where we segue straight into Save Your World. It's something that, and again, actually, before we even get into that, it's creating your environment. So it's an internal environment where you're around, you hear the whole, the 5 people you're around, you become the 6th of that version. So do you feel like you took on some stuff from the other boys, that the way they would going through life.
For sure.
Yeah. Because
sure.
were they a bit older, or was Quade about the same age?
No, we were all pretty similar age. Like, they're a little bit older, but we were all pretty similar age. And then, there was Buddy Franklin as well.
Of course,
Curtly. Danny Cipriani was over at Life Stage as well. And another good friend of mine, James King. So there was, we just stuck really tight together. And, we ended up, our energy's almost all blended. And, it's a pretty accurate thing to say.
You all just became one another.
Yeah, you became very sort of like, you still have, like, you're still you, and you still have your own energy system and your own soul and your own purpose and whatnot. But a lot of your mannerisms and even your language becomes very similar. You start speaking the same, and your mannerisms almost change as well. And it's interesting to watch.
That is cool. I like that, because I think what's changed my life in the last 12 months for sure is starting the podcast and giving me access to people I may not have been able to speak to beforehand, right? So people like yourself, people like one of my best mates now, Toddy Jarrett, he went through ulcerative colitis, and he was like nearly dead. And he built his body back up through breath work, meditation, better eating, conscious eating, because a lot of gut health issues, which I know you've suffered with a bit too. And understanding just on a holistic level how much foundationally that can set us on the right path. And when did you start to see this world in that different light? Because obviously, we hear the story of you going to jail and stuff like that over there. And anyone that wants to read into that, you can have a bit more of a look into it. But I don't want you to have to focus on that stuff, because you've spoken about it, you've lived it, you've experienced it. But I would like to ask you, what were you feeling in those moments? Was this overwhelming feeling of, like you said, when you were 13 years old, you had this moment of like, fuck, if this is going to be this, this, and this, I need to do this. Is that what happened during those tougher moments where you came back to that conscious decision of, okay, this shit needs to change now, otherwise I'm going to have to deal with this more and more?
I would like to say yes, but it was the opposite. I just wanted to sweep it under the rug and hide. Like, for me, it was more shame. That was the feeling I felt from those certain things, from letting people down and letting myself down. Yeah, it was shame, which is, as you know as well, a very low vibrational emotion.
Dude.
One of the hardest ones to get through, because it's probably below anger. You got to get up to get angry. You got to be entitled again and have boundaries to be angry, to express it. So it was those moments created shame in me, which then I made wrong. Instead of just being like, hey, there's a standard that I feel I'm at and I want to live to, and I haven't met that, but I can recommit now and put it to bed and move on from it. But instead, when you feel shame, you take yourself into an even lower spiral. And then that's when you don't want to get out of bed. That's when you just want the curtains closed and it to be dark. You don't want to face anyone because you can't look anyone in the eyes.
That right there. So you could say confidently you've experienced proper depression, hey?
Yeah.
You know, it's like rattling. It's like you said, you wake up, you don't want to get out of bed. You just look at the ceiling and just think, fuck this, I'm not doing anything today. It's crippling. It's not sadness. It's literally crippling. And it's something that, again, we talk about these things that have become quite trendy over the last years, which is great. We're talking about it more. We're talking about men's mental health, especially like being a men's mental health month. You know, it's huge on myself coming from a space of, you know, I nearly killed myself at 24 because I hated the job I was doing.
Yeah.
Had no purpose. I was meant to be this big Broncos superstar. Yeah. And then my identity just got crushed by myself. Yeah. So to think that I was my own worst enemy and I made this decision, I created this life, you know, we hate ourselves too. Yeah. So we're in a state of, you know, self-hatred and all this sort of stuff. So it's like you start to work through that and start to realize that there's so much more to it. But as you said before, you're super grateful for the things you dealt with because it led you to save your world, right?
Yeah.
And how old were you when that all started?
26, I think.
Right.
Yeah, about 26 when I started working. Yeah.
What was the big difference for that made you realize that he was truly going to help? What was his name again? Ollie,
yeah.
Ollie Prustid?
Yeah.
Bro, what made you realize that this guy was going to be the one to help you, to save you? Well, you saved yourself. No, we don't. No one saves us, but
I don't know. Just when we just connected straight away. The first time like we really spoke, I jumped in the car with him and he took me down to London, which was about a 3-hour trip from Manchester. So he'd driven down from Scotland, picked me up. We jumped in the car and saw like a healer that he knew down there for my ankle. So it wasn't even about any of this other stuff. It was just about fixing my ankle.
Yeah, so your body.
Yeah, so fixing my body. So we jumped in the car and spoke for 3 hours about everything. like things I hadn't shared with anyone before. Not like personal things, just consciousness, pretty much. In the way I explained it back then, and things I'd read and YouTube videos I'd watched, and we just flowed for like 3 hours down, another 2 hours out for lunch, 3 hours back, and then after that I had like a little reset, and then that's when we just built our relationship sort of pretty naturally.
And it's cool to think that I was reading some stuff as well that like there was a couple of news articles on you, and they were like, oh, they're pretty much calling it all like a bit weird shit, like woo woo.
Yeah,
you know, like,
literally.
I've copped that before. I've copped, you know, and I'll call myself out where I was actually saying that I would call spirituality woo-woo-ness.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, this woo-woo stuff that we're getting into, because we've gone deep. I've gone deep in the last 12 months with it. So, and you get people judging you.
Yeah.
And I realized, I was like, man, I just need to stop caring about that stuff, because if I do, I'm not allowing myself to go deep enough to heal my shit to then help others heal.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like you obviously realize that with Ollie.
Well, you're putting a filter on it already.
Yeah.
So you're not allowing yourself to fully just appreciate it and accept it.
What was he saying to you to make you realize where you were at?
I don't even, like, honestly, to recall, like...
Yeah, you'd have so many good chats, eh? Yeah. And it's just that flow state.
We spoke every day.
Yep.
Every day for a year on the phone. And he'd come down maybe once a month he'd come down, and then we'd do a few retreats and camps, and some of it was just really simple stuff. Like just rebuilding the body, like very, very simple stuff. Something like none of it was actually, like none of the actual teachings were mind-blowing stuff. No. It was just how we connected it together. And then teaching me how to do it for myself was the big step.
I loved one part you had to do like you called it was like climbing a mountain, breaking the Suki kid in you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How was that
one? Oh man, I was just pissed off for like an hour. Just fun, because I was holding this backpack in these shit shoes, walking up this mountain. I was like, just getting annoyed because it was just for no point. It was freezing. I was just like, I just remember being like behind him, just being like, fuck this guy, man. I'm done with him. And he's just laughing like, bro, I can feel you throwing daggers at me. If you don't want to do it, go wait in the car. I'll meet you after. So
that's cool. So he called you out as well.
Yeah. And just like, I don't have to be here. Like, do what you want to do. You want to come with me. You want to learn what I'm doing. So come or don't come. But if you want to come, you got to hold the bag. So, and yeah, there's a lot of little, like, that's where I believe he was a master in his craft, was he knew just how to tweak your ego and play with your ego a little bit to the point where sort of it broke. And then it wasn't like, I'm going to rebuild you. It was like, hey, I'm here. I got some energy, but you rebuild it yourself. You figure it out yourself. Yeah. Which was in itself then a new challenge. But me empowering myself, when we stopped working together and that first 6 months finding my feet, I was in, like, there was challenging times, but it was just so blissful because I was now the own creator of my world. Like, I literally, anything I wanted, I could not manifest, but it was like within reason I could get and I could choose to have, and I could go after and put my energy into this, and I could see it, like the fruition of it happen. And it was no matter sort of what happened, even if it was like some say like a bad day or something bad happened or whatever, it's my choice to choose how I see this experience, and then not make it right or wrong. Just, okay, accept it. What did I learn from that? All right, cool. What am I going to do now? And I had these great tools around me that I'd learned to be able to like re-energize myself naturally.
That's huge. And it's, I love how obviously you touched on manifestation there a little bit. What was the first thing that you truly wanted? It was getting back into Australia and
yeah.
Dude,
was, to be fair, it was first to not be fat, because then it was.
What, did you get fat? Did you?
Yeah, bro. When I just because I was on everything. I was on because I have no spleen, so I was on penicillin, painkillers, anti-inflammatories. I was drinking a lot. I was doing drugs. Like I was taking everything. So my system was just.
Were you real bloated?
Yeah, I bloated out.
Yeah.
For a few months. So that was the first thing. It was just, and even before that was like, I hadn't done like a tough session or a gym session without being on something, or like a little bit, my like consciousness a little bit blurred for like a year, I found. So just to be able to get through a session felt so amazing.
Yeah,
and to get sober felt so amazing. And then there was all these little milestones all across the board. But yeah, the first one was getting back, like healing my ankle. So my body just stopped almost healing itself. It just, it just stopped healing itself almost because I just put myself in such a hole. Then I had to, because it was my thought patterns as well. I believed that I couldn't do this. So I had automatically, it listened. Okay, you can't do it then. All right. And then,
cool.
So I had to, cool. So I changed my thought patterns around it. And then to get back on the field and start playing and put a year of rugby together, which I hadn't done in probably 6 years at Sale. So I put a year of footy together, and there was a couple little injuries, like a rolled ankle once, or like sublux of a shoulder, like something like that. But I didn't miss sort of more than 2 games. So
that's
huge. Putting a season of that. But the goal was always to get back to Oz and to put the gold jersey on again. So that was the first time I remember firstly making the camp and getting to go to South Africa and tour with the team. But the first moment was in Perth after we beat the All Blacks, where I was like, wow, like this works.
How long after was it you proclaimed that was going to happen? Because you did that while you were with Ollie, hey?
Well, we spoke about it quite a few times. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
And then we figured out what I want, and I'd realised I'd always wanted that. I was just scared to put it out there again. Public opinion. What if I can't get it? What if I put myself out there and I don't get it? What will people say? What will I say? Am I a failure? So having the courage, that was probably one of the biggest things, was having the courage to put out there. When I was over there, I hadn't played good footy in a long time. No one wanted me because of my history. Yeah. Putting out there, hey, I want to be part of the Wallabies again and I'm going to play in the World Cup. It would have been like, man, he's dreaming. He's smoking again.
Stitch up.
Yeah. So that was, breaking, like, just having the courage to put that out there was probably one of the biggest steps as well.
That's
and then
massive.
Also seeing the support from everyone too. Because along the way, like, I'd always read into this and that, and, you read the good, you got to read the bad. So there's always these public opinions on me, and I was someone growing up, like I said, I cared about what my family thought, what my friends thought, and then that sort of got blurred into what the public thought about me.
Did you care what you thought?
I'd say I did. But it was always sort of, it wasn't always just for me. I feel like it was, but that was my story of I'm holding the burden of the world. That was my backpack's heavier than yours, is I'm doing this for everyone else, to give everyone else a good life and, to set my family up in the future and to do this and to open doors for this. And that was a mentality as well, because I was taught from a young age, like, work now, play later.
Yeah.
But I took that, like that saying, out of context and used it as like, hey, I'm going to carry the biggest backpack up the mountain and I'm going to kill myself doing it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be the hero.
Or the hero's journey, slay the dragon.
Journey,
Shit. And that's massive in itself too, because I know a lot of men in particular do that. And that's obviously, we talk about the suicide rates within men and how bad it is, and it's still bad. Like, even though we talk about depression, health and mental illness more and more, it still seems to be the same issue. It's just not breaking through. So understanding that what you got to and how you moved through it is so important, because for anyone listening, if there's any men listening, particularly women too, listen to James's story and like what he did to sort of come out of that. He said there wasn't anything in particular that was like super like scientific or different. It was like those foundational things. But I think the key there was having someone that knew you, could call you on your bullshit, hold you accountable, and just week to week accountability, right?
Yeah, day to day.
Yeah,
it was checking in every day.
Day to day. That's cool.
I tried to do it on my own. I know other people who have. Like, I'm astonished that some people have gotten through depression on their own. I'm like, floored. How'd you do that? For me, it was a brother helped me. Yeah. And that was, I had a tribe around me that was strong, and I had a point of contact who had been through it himself, which is why I trusted him. I didn't trust anyone else because no one I spoke to had any experiences like this. Maybe they had experienced it, but no one was speaking about depression or anxiety and this sort of stuff. And this guy was talking to me openly about it and his experiences of nearly jumping off a roof. And I was like, fuck, I never got there. I wanted to escape, but I was never there, so I trusted him.
Bro, that's huge. And it's something that I'd love to actually segue into both of our hero, Kobe.
Yeah.
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe.
Kobe said something here. He goes, the definition of greatness is to inspire the next generation.
Yeah.
So what you just said then, I think the definition of greatness as well is being open to sharing our tough stories and being open to share the depression, the anxiety, the guilt, the shame, the burdens and all these things, because it makes them realize, even young women as well as young men, that these things are normal. Normalizing. One of the best rugby union players in the world right now is talking about the shit he went through, guys, and understanding that, you know, as much as surface level, it looked like, you know, he's doing this, this, and this. But you've just told us it wasn't that case underneath all of that. You were fucking struggling.
Yeah.
You had people help you.
Yeah.
It's okay to have people. It's okay to ask for help too.
Yeah.
That's something I had to learn, because as a man, we go into our cave. We don't want to burden anyone.
Yeah.
But as soon as I reached out and asked for help, everyone was there.
Yeah.
Those people that I knew would be there, but I still was just too scared to ask for help.
Yeah.
But they were ready, bro. They were like, fucking finally, dude. Thank you. Let's go. Let's, you know, come. Help me, brother, sort of thing. So I'd love to now, what we'll do, I'll play a couple of clips that I found that I thought you might resonate with, and get your thoughts on it, because I did this with one of the boys a few weeks ago, and I was just like, man, I forget how good YouTube is.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a free resource that you could learn. I learned how to do podcasting, videography, everything from YouTube, bro. Like, and having people like Merv around, you know, teach me a few things. But I'll press play on this one. It goes for a few seconds.
You know, I had a summer where I played basketball when I was like 10 or 11 years old. And I scored not a free throw, nothing, not a lucky shot, not a breakaway layup, 0 points. And I remember crying about it and being upset about it. My father just gave me a hug and said, listen, whether you score 0 or score 60, I'm gonna love you no matter what. Now that is the most important thing that you can say to a child. Because from there, I was like, okay, that gives me all the confidence in the world to fail. I have the security there. But to hell with that, I'm scoring 60.
There's a choice that we have to make as people, as individuals. If you want to be great at something, there's a choice that you have to make. We all can be masters at our craft.
Right, so what he just said then is that one of the most important things you can say to your kids is like, it's okay. If you don't go out there and score 2 tries, if you don't go out there and make a game-changing play or whatever, it's okay. I still love you.
Yeah.
I feel like, by the sounds of it, you had that support there. As much as you may not have remembered it or may not have been aware of it consciously, that is one of the most important things. Anyone that's listening that's a dad or a mum, you know, just showing that support, and look at what James has achieved and, you know, what he's been able to do. But I feel like you've always had that love there, right?
Yeah, I have. I was blessed to be brought into this world with a very loving family. Like 2 of my best mates are my brothers, my mum and my dad. Like, we're a really close-knit group. And there was stages where I lost contact with all of them through my own choices and whatnot. And to be fair, while watching that video, there was always a lot of love in my family. But the one thing, like I told you at the start, was I felt that I needed to be good at rugby, because when I got more attention. Yeah. And I thought attention was love. Like, I watch these home videos of like me and my brothers and whatnot. My little brother is just this real chilled guy just floating around, and my dad's like trying to get him to speak on the camera, and he's just like in his own world playing, and I'm this like attention seeker, like, dad, watch this, watch me backflip, watch this. And my older brother's sort of just off like climbing trees, or like, he was very athletic. But so for me, it was like, the better I was at rugby, the more attention I got, and attention was love. And if someone had actually said that to me, I reckon it would have changed my whole outlook on rugby, on life. Like, no matter if you don't score a try or if you lose, I'm still going to love you the same way. Like, like watching that, I'm like, that's very powerful. That is, yeah. And
dude, intuitively, I just heard that, because I didn't know what I was going to pick. I was just like, fuck, I'll put some Kobe stuff on and see what's good. But that, for me, hit me. And this is the weird thing, right? Well, it's not weird. I won't call it weird anymore. What's happened for me in the last 12 months what's happened for me in the last 12 months is I've realized that my intuition is crazy. Yeah. So they talk about women having intuition. I've got this good friend, Beck, who did like an energy healing on me. And she said, I don't know what the hell just happened, Trav, but you had like this white light coming down through your head. You had your throat chakra was opened up, like blue was coming out. And she just said, I just felt like your intuition is crazy, like super high. So I realize now that what I do with my coaching, so I do coaching like one-on-one stuff, like dive into the subconscious and that sort of thing. And I realize what I do with my tech talks, being the technician, I call them little hour talks called the tech talk. As I'm talking to my client or whoever it is, my human, I help humans. Yeah. Something just comes through me, man. Like I can just channel something. I know what to ask them, what to say. And I think that's why the podcast has done so well. Yeah. I don't even plan for most of these. Yeah. I just, like, this one I planned because I was like, I better have something to go, you know.
Well, how much more powerful is your intuition than your mind?
Way more, bro. Lead from the heart, bro.
Yeah. Do you know what human design you are?
Projector.
You're a projector. Okay.
Are you a manifesting generator?
No, I'm just a plain old generator.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Just one thing at a time.
We'd work well together.
Yeah. Yeah, we would.
Dude.
You'd have some great ideas.
Oh, I'm the ideas, man.
Have you studied gene keys at all either?
I kid you not. I literally just got asked about them 2 weeks ago.
I'd be interested to know what your gene keys are.
Okay, I'll put that in there in the note. Because
that might like show you why, like, or not tell you why, but explain, give you a few explanations. Like, it's all frameworks and it's all learnings. But when I studied human design, it opened my eyes up to a whole other realm, like a whole other world. And I was like, oh, that's why. Like, not that I'm not special. I am. Everyone's special.
Yeah.
Everyone's a unique version of consciousness. But when I studied human design, it was like giving me explanations of why I do things in a certain way and how my energy works and why I've found all these things that work for me, and it just correlated perfectly with what I was studying. And I was like, man, that's incredible. And then it empowers you further to dig deeper into it. And like I said, build your intuition or whatever your gifts are.
What did you study that through? Is there a course online that you used, or?
Yeah, so part of my journey as well, like everyone knows about Save Your World, but a lot of people don't know about actually what before Save Your World, but sparked the whole interest. And there was a shaman I met.
Oh, hectic.
Yeah, I met a shaman, Sandra, and he was my first awakening experience was with him on like a 4-day retreat.
Wasn't a vision quest, was it?
Similar, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was everything you can imagine. We tapped into, and it was an incredible, like an awakening experience. But then on top of that, the layers were. Yeah, it opened my eyes to a whole new world, and part of that was your enneagram, like your actual enneagram, like your human design, and then there was different books and articles and things for me to study, and then this rabbit hole led to this rabbit hole, and I'd find this and I'd take it to him, and he'd be like, hey, play with this, and it was just really, that's how I had the sort of, I guess, the courage to reach out with Ollie and ask for help because of my connection with him and where he was.
That's
and
huge.
Our relationship, even though he was in Australia and I was overseas, because I had worked with someone earlier, or not so much, I guess, worked with them. I was a part of a whole sort of group.
Just aware of it, sort of thing.
But I was aware of another element outside of this physical reality that we live in.
So I don't know about you, but during my awakening, which was 2020, so obviously COVID hit. My partner at the time, she was Canadian, so she got locked out of the country for 10 months. So I went through this another phase of a Phoenix moment where I was like, finally got a good job again, all this other shit, and I didn't know if I was ever going to see Tams again. So I was just like in this pure state of just depression, just like hating life, whatever. During that, I met this dude who owns this gym called Exalto, Jordan Potts. He was doing like Wim Hof breathing and that. I met him at a farmer's market. So this is where synchronicities start coming in, right? Yeah. I showed Tams this dude 4 days before I met him. I was like, I really want to meet this guy. Here you go, bro.
Yeah.
So I met him at the farmer's market, him and his missus, and they were lovely. And they're like, mate, I can see you're struggling. Do you want to come back to our house this afternoon and do some of this? I was like, what the fuck's this dude on? Because I didn't know what he was talking about. Turn up and he throws us some juggling balls. Like, here you go, do this, do some juggling. Bring the mind present. Yeah. And then some Wim Hof breathing, and then I'm in the ice bath for 5 minutes. My first ice bath was 5 minutes, and I killed it.
Yeah.
Because I've noticed as well, one of my strengths is understanding that my body is my vessel.
Yeah.
My consciousness, my energy, my soul is the little fighter pilot inside that vessel. So whatever happens physically to me, I don't have to take it on if I don't want.
Yeah.
It's almost like I can detach when I'm taking pain, when bad things are happening to me. I'm like, oh, fuck, who cares? It's happening to the vessel.
You can just watch, right?
Literally, it's like watching it from above. So, and that's what got me on this path of, okay, maybe there's more to this. You start seeing everything for what it is. You take the fucking red pill and step out of the matrix and start to see. And I start watching news, bro, and I'm just laughing. I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
What is this chaos? But like you, what that did for me, it allowed me to now be ready when the time came, because it did, big time, in August last year. It's like 12 months ago, dude. The shit that's happened in 12 months is just pure chaos, but beautiful chaos.
Yeah.
And but that experience in 2020 allowed me to be ready for it. So now it's just been existential. Like everything for me is happening for me. I can't stop the good things happening, man. Like I know in the next 12 months, I'll be probably the best podcast in Australia.
Yeah.
I don't say that in a cocky way. I just say that in a deep knowing.
Yeah.
It's like quantumly it's happened.
Yeah.
In the quantum it has happened. I'm just filling in the gaps.
Yeah, I love that.
Right? So,
and I love just the way you said that as well, is you're not looking at, oh, things are going so well, something bad's going to happen. You just know. It's a knowing, right? You just know that you're on the right path, when you're in sync, when you're in flow, you're just going to keep attracting these things because you're resonating like love out there. So it's like,
lead with love, bro.
Everything's that comes back to you. And hey, there might be little stumbles along the way, but that's for you to experience.
Agreed. And that's your story, right? So the story you've built right now is incredible. You know, the things you've gone through, the things you've understood, the things you've had to deal with, but then come back from. And this next one, I think will be very relevant for you as well. So we'll dive into another Kobe and we might leave it at that. But let's have a listen to this bad boy.
Great man.
What I've learned is to always keep going, always. You know, there's been times, particularly early in my career, where it just feels like this is the end. But what I've come to find out is that, you know, no matter what happens, the storm eventually ends. And when the storm does end, you want to make sure that you're ready. And I gave my soul to this game, man. There's nothing more I could give. Nothing.
You guys know that, you know, if you do the work, you work hard enough, dreams come true. You know that, we all know that. But hopefully what you get is the understanding that those times when you get up early and you work hard, those times when you stay up late and you work hard, those times when you don't feel like working, you're too tired, you don't want to push yourself, but you do it anyway. That is actually the dream. That's the dream. It's not the destination, it's the journey.
Right, so it's not the destination, it's the journey. Look at the journey you've been on. Look at this. Do you feel like the storm's over? Like you're still riding a little bit?
I feel like the storm I was in is over. Yep. Like the version I am now and where I'm going with my world, it's completely like you can't compare them. They're on different levels. But you're always in the storm. That's what life is. That's the human experience is that. And like he said at the start again, like one of the best quotes, not quotes, I guess, I learnt was, this too shall pass. So when you are high, no, you got to come down. When you are low or you're going through something, no, there's always dawn. Like everything flows. It's like hermetic laws, right? Like the pendulum swing. So for me, it's been about not how do I stay here, but being at peace instead of rather chasing the high, which then brings you to the low. If you could give them one little tip, would you say that do the deep work would be a great start? Yeah, like you said, it's facing yourself. Yeah. I think for me it was stopping. I could never stop. Even as a kid, I couldn't sit still. Not ADD-wise, just I wanted to be experiencing. I loved being around people. Like I'm a generator. I love vibing off everyone. I love moving my body. That's why I'm so pleased and grateful that I got to play rugby as a profession, because it's so in alignment with my being. Yep. Is being able to move every day and get my energy out every night and be satisfied with what I'm creating on the field. The biggest bit of advice I'd say is to be able to just sit still and just, like you said, be bored. For me, it wasn't ever sort of being bored because I had so many thoughts I hadn't dealt with. So many things I'd put in a box, and then when I sat still, they'd pop up into my consciousness. It'd be like, hey man, like, you want to remember this shit? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go back outside and
where's that phone? I'm going to go scroll.
Yeah, literally. And I think my probably first experience of like loving the process, well, not even was the World Cup in 2011. I built this World Cup event. I probably did it again in 2019, even so far along on my journey. But it was like, this is the pinnacle, like the World Cup. And then after it was like, hey, like we're out. It was actually the 6 weeks leading up, the connections we made. It was vibing around the guys. It was the energy of the stadiums. It was walking the streets and having all the fans there and everyone was just vibing off each other. That was the experience. And then the crazy thing was I had this awakening, came back and played in the World Cup in 2019. And still, once again, I made it all about like this final that I was going to play in to be the redemption story. And looking back now, I laugh because it's like I tried to control the situation where the blessing, the gift was me coming back to Australia and just being able to, one, come and live at home. Two, was the journey that I'd been on. It wasn't about this event that if we won the World Cup, my story would get out there further. It wasn't that I wanted to do it. It wasn't even, I didn't even want to do that for myself. My ego was just, I wanted to share what I'd been through. But then that's like what I said about pushing things on people. Oh, that's the place I was in. It was like, this worked for me. Now you have to do this to help you. Or like, it was such like it came from love, but the love I could experience at that time, it wasn't like an unconditional. I'm not saying I feel unconditional love and everything anymore. I don't at all. That's not where I'm at. I wouldn't be in this body if I was. But
Yeah, I like that.
What I'm saying is like where I was, where my consciousness was, I was like trying to help people by sort of pulling them in this direction or like judging them from here, sitting in judgment. And automatically when you're sitting in judgment, how is that? Like how are they going to pick up from you on your frequency, or how are they ever going to, I guess, experience the energy that you actually want to give to them, because you're almost betraying that energy.
Yeah, that's huge. I think there's an aspect of when you're awakening, you're going through that, you can start to put yourself on a pedestal, right?
Yeah.
Start judging everyone else for the shit they do. There's no right or wrong, as you said. I love that.
Judging the world too.
Dude, and
Look
there's...
how backwards it is. Like, look at this. Everyone's sick.
Yeah.
There's a lie. Like, there's a war on masculinity. There's this, there's that. Like what are they doing to the universe? Like,
yeah. Yeah, and like you can get yourself caught up in that. And
it's easy to go deep on those YouTube conspiracy theories and
yeah, bro. And I did that at the start, and I realized that it wasn't doing me any good, wasn't doing anyone around me any good. Because it's like, if I understood that controlling what I can control is the beauty of it all. It's like knowing that, as we said before, having the ability to respond to anything however you want. That's where the control is, right? Yeah. So, as you said, having no judgment in that event we created with the Breath Brew and Barbecue, BBB, I know it's on purpose. I know it's beautiful because there is no judgment. We want everyone to come. We want them to be able to, if beer is your favorite brew and you need 2 or 3 beers to feel comfortable in a space like that, cool.
Yeah, cool.
That's fine. We're obviously not promoting alcoholism or anything like that. We're just saying, hey, whatever your story is, whatever your culture is, whatever your safety is, bring that. We'll accept you as you are. And then it's like, okay, you want to go deeper? Cool. Trav does coaching. He does this, and this. We can take you a bit deeper. We can help you with stuff. Maybe you need some gut health stuff with like Charlie O'Halloran I've just hooked up with, dude. This is another synchronicity. Meeting people, right, that are on the same journey of wanting to help people. Yeah. I'll quickly segue actually into health-wise. Got a little present for you from my sponsor, from Broody Coffee here on the sunny coast.
How good.
Dude, actually got like MCT oil in it, marine grade collagen. Like this stuff's good and it's local.
Bulletproof.
Yeah, bulletproof coffee. So they've got like hot chocolate, coffee, fortified coffee is what I've been using recently, and it's been unreal. Like it's got turmeric in it and everything. So
awesome.
That's a little gift from Tommy and Mel Mitchell with the local good mates of mine, but unreal product.
A little decaf one as well.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, look after you. So just shout out to them, and I'll shout out to my other sponsor. I don't know if you've seen this thing over here.
I was literally, that caught my eye when I was talking to you. I was almost distracted.
A little cryptocurrency mining setup from End Evolution Australia. So that's another good mate, Jolie Andrews, that bro, he knows so much about crypto. And do you invest in it at all?
I have. A good friend of mine is deep in it.
Gotcha.
So my knowledge is, I trust my man.
Yeah, of course. And that's what Joel's that guy. If anyone wants to learn about it, he knows about it. He'll set you up because this is like passive income.
Yeah.
You get one of these bad boys rolling to a point where it could be making you thousands of dollars a week. That's a lot you'll have to invest to get to that point. But just understanding crypto as it's our future, big thing. So it's like, I thought I'd segue in and get them in because I wanted to appreciate them for supporting me with what I'm doing. So, and I'm always about supporting local, which, you're getting to stay here on the sunny coast at the moment. What's your plans moving forward with everything? Because obviously now you're back in the Wallaby squad, you're doing well. Health's good, obviously, everything's sweet.
Yeah. What's
your movements for the next 12 months or so? What's your big plans?
Where I'm at now, not that I try not to. Trying is not the right word. It's just I'm in a place now where I'm just literally responding. I've got a plan for the next year. Like I'm contracted with Australian Rugby and the Reds until the end of 2023, the World Cup.
Yep.
But after that, I'm just watching what's coming, and it's funny because as soon as you let go, even probably 3 months ago, I was like, okay, I need to and almost need to get my future secure or start pushing some buttons and knocking on a few doors to just see sort of what's out there. And as soon as I actually just sat back and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to watch this and just see what comes. Enjoy myself, play good footy, and the rest will take care of itself. And the funny thing is, as soon as you just let go, straight away, message here. Hey man, can we speak to this? Or can I have this person's number? And so there's a few things on the horizon. Like I just bought with a good friend of mine a property out in Yucca or Smiths Creek. So
whereabouts is this?
It's UKI, that's northern New South Wales.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. So I've got 120 acres in the rainforest. So,
nice, bro.
it's pretty incredible.
What do you got planned for that?
We've got 6 chalets out there already. We want to start holding
retreats?
some space and retreats. Yeah.
Yes,
So
that's
we're just
gun.
about to build the big yurt.
Yes.
Big yurt out there, and I'm pretty excited about that. That's sort of just putting a little bit of energy at the moment on the side for that.
I love that.
Just watching sort of that space, and then outside of rugby, let's see.
I think that's the biggest thing is surrendering to life, right? Surrendering to what, as you said, I think that's when stuff started happening for me. It was like I'd be sitting there judging myself because I hadn't learned something that day. I hadn't,
man.
Why
haven't I read this? Or I've got this book staring at me, and it's making me like, and I want to start this one, but I've opened this one, and
dude, it's the worst. It's not the worst. It is who I am. I'm here to help. I'm here to help and heal people, and not do the healing for them, but to give them the tools, tips, and tactics as the technician.
Facilitator, right?
Yeah, bro. Yeah. And my whole thing is rewiring mind, body, and soul. Yeah. So, and I saw that Savior Worlds was a similar thing. And it's like, and I love that because that all just came to me. That name, I was with my best mate, Christian Palu. We were walking along the beach up here, and he just randomly goes, because he was struggling with depression and stuff too a couple of years ago. And he goes, bro, I love the way you try to rewire my mind. You're like a technician. And as he said it, I was like, oh, that got said for a reason. Yeah. So I built my little logo and stuff and came up with it. I'll show you. I don't know if you've seen it or not. But essentially, as we talk about, intuition and everything coming to us, this little guy came to my head. Bro, that's great. I'll see if I can see it here. But essentially, I just saw this picture of myself in front of this dude with a screwdriver and a spanner, or a wrench, and rewiring his brain, which it won't pop up. But anyway, that all just started. As soon as that happened, everything else just started falling in place. And it was like you didn't have to force anything anymore. Yeah. It's just allowing it to come. Word,
And when you let go, it's not like letting go and just being like, you still have to energize it. You still have to be aware enough to, when the moves come,
be prepared
to make a move on that. You have to be in the position. Like, it's funny, like there must be something in that, like mind, body, spirit. Like every civilization is spoken about. Even look at like Christianity, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, like the Trinity. There's got to be something there with consciousness or whatever it is.
Agreed.
But if you're in sync, or if you're moving your body enough, you're working your mind enough, and you're actually spending time to sit with yourself or walk out in nature, it could be as simple as those 3 little things. But if you can, line those up, then you can be aware of what's actually coming through your door. Because I look back and I think there was probably a time maybe 5 years ago that nothing was coming my way. And now I look back at that time of where I thought nothing was coming my way, and I'm like, man, there was actually so many doors that were opening for you. You just weren't in a place to see it.
Yeah, but and unfortunately, it's like anyone these days that we talk about, wanting people to become conscious, but the lifestyle everyone's been forced into, they don't have a chance.
Yeah.
Because you can't, when you're in a state of sympathetic state, you're fight or flight all the time, anxiety from work, anxiety from there's a fucking recession coming, all these things. It's like the government wanting us to be scared all the time. Yeah. It's like our prefrontal lobe, we cannot think because all that blood rushes down into our extremities for fight or flight, being in the sympathetic state. Yeah. So these poor buggers that we're sitting here talking about this stuff, which is incredible. I want everyone to be in that state, but it's just not going to be possible for a lot of the population because they don't have a chance, but we can start by one person at a time. It's like enjoying the process. As you said, I would love to be a podcast that's getting 1 million downloads an episode. I'll get there eventually. But until that day, it's just one person at a time.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that, potentially your episode reaches a couple of young rugby union players who may be struggling. All of a sudden they're here, they're fucking heroes. It's like, yeah, if you just do this, this, and this, it'll happen. Like, cool, done. They do that little thing you did when you were 13, and you actually almost segued perfectly into a part that I love, which is my tools, tips, and tactics. So what are some of your favorite tools, tips, and tactics that have helped you to this point, whether it's books, YouTube videos, coaches?
Yeah.
Who are some people or some things that have helped you and that you'd want to give to the listener?
Tools, I'd say breathing. Breathing for me sounds so simple,
but breathing.
And every now and again immersing yourself in cold water. I feel like it's not just the physical like experience of what cold water does to you or heat in a sauna. It's not just like, yeah, it's the mind. It's being able to go through something, sit with it, surrender to it, and then you get the benefits only from like it's restricting like your blood vessels, and then you oxygenate yourself, you alchemize your whole body, whatnot. Oxygen, yeah, it's not just that, it's literally the battle you go through in your mind.
Well, it's like Potsy talks about it with when you get in the ice bath, it's resonant to what life is, right? If you can go through that, you can go through anything.
Yeah.
Because the ice bath, people think they're going to die in there.
Yeah.
I get in now and I'm laughing. Like, I'm like, yeah, this is sick. Some people get in there literally crying. They're like, no, I can't do this. Yeah. But when they break through that 2-minute ice bath, they're like, oh, actually, like I'm more powerful than I thought.
Yeah.
So that's a great tool. Would you say, are you doing that at the moment? Like obviously cold showers and stuff?
Yeah, I do cold showers, but we have like ice baths even set up here. We bring them with us. Yeah, so about 5 degrees. So whenever you want to do it, like today I did one this morning. Like most of the group did some. Yeah. I go fully under. A lot of the guys just put their legs in or whatnot.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's not just for like, so you have recovery, but I see recovery as like the 3 again.
The Trinity.
I'm recovering everything. And once again, like putting yourself is like, there's all the things about, winning the morning, eat the frog, like doing these things that you actually don't want to do. It's funny now, I love getting in the ice. I love that experience. Like they talk about pain and pleasure. It's just like a tap of hot water, cold water. It's the same substance. So you can actually flick that in your brain by choosing.
Ooh, yeah, I guess
pretty
like
incredible, yeah.
Anxious and excited, it's the same. You just choose what it's supposed to be.
Plane. Yeah, you're just making a choice, and I actually really love getting in the sauna now. When you get to that 15 minutes on 100 degrees and your body's screaming like, "Get me out of here!"
Yeah, how good is it?
Nah, bro, we're going for 5 more.
Yeah. Have you done any of JP's events yet? Jesse Price, he's doing like the fire and ice stuff.
No, I haven't done any of his actual events. Like we connected probably just a month ago.
Okay.
Caught up when Fee came out to my place. But I haven't done one of his events. No.
We're going to connect up. I've got him on the potty soon. He was meant to come this week, but obviously, as we all know, these lives of entrepreneurship and stuff, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
But
he showed me his little setup as well. That he told you what he's creating.
Got the truck, right?
The truck, yeah,
dude.
That's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'll definitely be out for that one when that's up and running.
When you're training, would you say that you're actually? That just reminded me, bro. I had a question from one of your teammates, big Harry Wilson. He asked me, can you ask James when was the last time he attended a contact session at training?
Well, it was actually. Oh, when was it? Tuesday this week.
Oh, right. Okay.
He gives me good old Harry. You can ask him. He'll probably listen to this. When was the last time you actually did a full session, big fella?
Oh, okay.
Got through an MAS without finishing 5 meters short.
Yeah, shit. Okay, there you go, Harry. That's your answer.
The Reds look after me well. I don't have to sort of do as much as I used to.
Well, you shouldn't have to, right?
Yeah, well, it's all now like I keep myself fit enough, and it's not through like just running. Like my just like standard level of fitness is pretty good now because your body remembers, right?
Of course,
remembers everything. It's just cells again.
Well, you've been at the pro level now since you were 17. So, speaking of cells, do you know much about epigenetics?
No, epigenetics.
So epigenetics is what Bruce Lipton talks about a lot. Dr. Espen, who's like the Australian, Joe Dispenza.
Yeah.
So I've been to his 3-day event and stuff. That was epic. But we understand, and this is what my mate Toddy Jarrett talks about, where our cells regenerate every 7 years.
Yeah.
So it's like if I've got, which I tore my ACL, meniscus, fracture of the patella all in one go playing basketball, and in my mind, I've always been saying, sorry guys, I can't come play. My knee's fucked. And that happened when I was 26. So like 6-7 years ago. And then Todd started telling me about this epigenetics, and he's like, no. What you need to do is change your language and start saying, my knee's healing. It's just getting better.
Well, man.
What'll happen 7 years later is I'll probably have no knee issues whatsoever because my cells are taking on what my language is speaking, and it starts to manifest that and be like, everything's sweet. Yeah. So it's like, guys, here's a great tool. Understand that your language is creating your life too, right?
I've literally did a course last year on conscious language, and that's probably one of the books you can read. Literally changed my world again.
Conscious language.
Conscious language by Robert Tennyson, and he does body language as well. It's incredible, man. How every injury I've ever had has been related to. Like, it's a physical injury, but it's been related to something internally.
Yeah, emotional usually.
I tore my groin last year because I was pushing too hard for approval. like my ankle, no direction. Like, it's incredible. Like, you read this book and you're literally reading like your past.
Yeah, right.
Even like any little touch you have, you just touch your nose in, it means I can and I will. Were you thinking about reading the book?
Right.
So that you know, like, there's your shoulders. If you see someone itch their shoulders, like, it's burdens. Your right side is masculine, your left side is feminine. So this is about receiving your left side, and this is about doing.
Yep.
But it blew my mind. Like, again, this guy, I bought the property with a couple, friend of mine. They were studying it. They introduced me to it, and I was like they facilitated me in a session last year when I was going through something with my groin, and they facilitated me, and just straight away, like 60% of the pain was gone after a 30-minute speaking session.
Do you remember what questions really hit you?
You know all the answers.
Yeah,
in
of
yourself
course,
personally. Yeah. So if I ask you, they've been studying this for 5 years, right? So it's not hard for me because I know how to explain this. That's a lot. Yeah. I can't explain it, but I don't want to do it just like a disservice.
Of course, yeah.
But so you know all the answers, so you're answering in real time, and you can pick up. So when you're facilitating someone, not just the language you're speaking, but you can't hide. So by how your body language is, how you're sitting, even like where you're looking and whatnot. Like, there's shows about this, like that don't lie to me, and all these things. There's actually real stuff.
Yeah.
How your body responds under pressure, under fear, like in all these certain things. But yeah, the question was, well, firstly, you figure out what side it's on, left side, so it's like it's receiving, yeah. But then it's on the inside, so it's internally. But then, so the groin's about, like, long story short, we figured it out that it was pushing for approval from others.
Gotcha.
Which is something I thought I was far past.
But you said that was obviously one of your biggest hurdles, right? Yeah.
Which was so great to recognize that, hey, like, I've gone through all this, but you're never out of it. You're still in the game. As long as you're alive, you're still playing the game. So then I was like, okay, how have I done that? How have I gone outside of myself? And it's like, I have my own boundaries. And boundaries for me is like a word. It's not like my boundary with you. It's my boundary in whatever you believe in, like your creator, the universe, God, your higher self, whatever that is. I have a boundary within myself with this, that this is my standard and this is what I'm willing to do and this is where I'm going with this. You come too like close and I don't know you, like if there's a physical boundary.
Yeah.
So I was pushing too hard at a training camp to prove to other people that I was still fast enough to play in this position, which is ridiculous because I just won a Super Rugby competition and I'd done it like before, but somewhere along the lines I started like believing in this and I let like a thought pattern get inside me that didn't actually resonate with me, and then I pushed outside of my limits.
Dude, even in that last like 5 minutes you just spoke on, I think that in itself, if people can understand their language, so conscious language that you just said, so that's by Robert Tennyson. Yeah. Do those, your friends, do they facilitate, can people go and like work with them and do that sort of stuff?
Yeah.
What's their names?
So there's Sandro and Ia.
Ia?
Ia, yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, so we'll get I'll put all this stuff in the show notes anyway, guys, because obviously there's some incredible value through this. Any books that have really stood out for you, like life-wise? Because I know one for me was Think and Grow Rich, which really got me understanding manifestation and stuff on a basic level. But your body is the body is the barometer of the soul. Ever heard of that?
No, I haven't.
Ooh.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I heard Espen say it at his experience, and I was like, man, that's cool. I love that. Because I always get people saying, oh, how old are you? When I say 32, they're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Because they think I'm like 24 or something. Yeah. But I just help them realize it's like, look, I am this way because I am happy within. So my soul is really happy because I'm on purpose. I've got amazing love around me. I'm joyful 98% of the time. I might not be doing well financially a lot of the time because I'm in a startup. You know, I've been doing this for 12 months. I'm going to struggle for the first bit. So, but that doesn't bother me. You know, there's been weeks where I'm like, how the fuck do I eat this week? But I've still been happy.
Yeah.
So I don't let those external things control my happiness.
100%.
So it's like understanding these things and understanding that, yeah, I look and feel younger than I did at 21.
Yeah.
Because my soul is so happy and enlightened and on purpose that the external looks good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, body is the barometer of the soul. I'll actually show you that one.
That'd be good.
What about any like YouTube channels that have like changed your life?
Not so much. Like a lot of the stuff, like inspiring stuff, I've found just
searching,
just searching.
Yep.
Whether it's on, I get deep on. Sometimes I'll be like, I actually love scrolling on YouTube every now and again, or on Instagram and finding this page that connects me to this, and I see. Like one of the best books I've read recently was the 7 Hermetic Principles, the Kabbalah.
Yeah,
like that's a pretty deep one to start on. So maybe like one of the first ones I started on was The Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman.
Ooh.
It was like it blends, like it's fiction, but is it fiction? You know, it blends it quite nicely. You got the Carlos Castaneda series, which are pretty cool as well. But then another one I read when I first started was it's more logical. It depends like what element I want to learn from. The logical element, like I tell everyone to go experience human design.
That's
sure. Pretty incredible. And then a book I read was Power vs. Force. That was another. It's quite meaty, but that was an interesting read for me as well.
Yeah, they're huge. Like even Way of the Superior Man. Have you ever read that?
Way of the Superior Man. No.
Oh, bro, that's a good one. You can get it for free on YouTube.
Okay, Way of the Superior Man.
Yep.
And then
I'll link that to you. But
one more, if probably just for you. Have you read the Ascension Papers?
No.
It's an interesting one.
The Ascension Papers.
I'd like to see what your thoughts are on that.
Is this because it's like more towards people that have had their awakening or going through their awakening? Or
it's a guy who's having a conversation with his higher self.
Oh shit!
It's like, so when I first read it, I've read it twice. So the first time I read it, I was like,
"What is this
rubbish?"
Yeah.
Then, like, you actually see how it could be possible and then I'm reading this book and it's like I'm remembering.
Oh,
I'm reading it and it's like hitting me and it's like I know this stuff.
Like
I know what he's going to say in it. Like, yeah, it was that was a special book for me.
Damn. Okay, I'm gonna have to get that ASAP. Do you feel like did you dive into any like past life stuff with anyone?
I've done a little bit of past life regression, but it hasn't resonated so much with me.
It's a lot. Like, it's a lot to dive into.
Yeah. Like I got into a little bit of like the kinesiology and
sick.
Played with a few elements of that. I would love to do some past life regression. Like I've read Dolores Cannon's few of her books.
Oh yeah. Have you heard the third wave volunteers?
Yeah, right.
You're a third waver?
Third waver.
For sure. What's up, baby? It's. And again, like you hear these things, someone probably heard that and like, what the fuck? Yeah. And then they'll watch it on YouTube, guys. Dolores Cannon, she's got heaps of videos on there. But
when I first read one of her books, I was like, I got to meet this woman, and I realized she was past. I was like,
what was it, like 2014 or something like that?
I'm not quite sure.
See, it's like, but this is the thing we talked about. When James had this incredible circle with like Quaid and that, but you can create your own circle through YouTube. Mentors, start listening to Jordan Peterson.
Yeah,
that guy alone will give you like who's that other one? Robert Greene.
Robert Greene. Do you know Robert Greene?
He wrote Power with 50 Cent.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Robert Greene's incredible. They talk a lot about the shadow, which is I personally believe the work I've done in the last like 6 years. I've been doing it, but really diving into it in the last 12 months since I've become like a human helper.
Yeah.
And understanding what works best for me and what I resonate with. And it's the fucking shadow, bro. Honestly, the inner child stuff that we just forget about, but it's the good and the bad within us that we allow it to stay unconscious.
Yeah.
So things that you will be and say certain things because you're not aware that your subconscious is controlling you through that situation. So if you can bring that conscious, you can understand it.
And how do you bring it conscious? So
it's some work. We'll ask you some Socratic method questions about diving into. So, for example, I'll give you an example that Lockie. I'll post the video. Actually, I'll post the video tonight. I was meant to do it the other night. So Lockie's the young dude. He's 20, bro.
Yeah.
This kid, you'd think he'd be like 60. He's lived more lives than anyone could imagine. But he asked me this question during the podcast, and it was like, because he was asking about my money issues. The ability you have, Trav, you should be way more successful than you are. Now, success is subjective. Yeah. I know that.
It's
like
an interesting topic.
Yeah.
One of my men. Yeah. Sorry.
No, go into that. That's good. Yeah.
One of the mentors that I was working with was, I got to a certain level with him. I wouldn't say mentors, but a guy that I was working with, I got to a certain level with him, and we finished. We're still friends and whatnot.
Yeah.
But I was like, he had such knowledge, such power, but he couldn't seem to convert it into energy
like
as wealth.
Yeah.
And I was watching, like, I'd listen to him too. I was like, man, people need to hear this. Like, why isn't it converting? Like, is that something he's choosing, or he's pre-chosen before he came here, or? like, what is he holding on to, or what hasn't he let go of, or maybe it's just, it is what it is. I'd be very interesting to hear like your take, because I haven't actually gone too deep into it. I've just thought about it before, and I'm like, because surely like you get to a certain place and then you're attracting a bit of everything, right?
Of course, yeah. It's a combination. So mine in particular was, so I told you about the decision I made at 17 not to go with the Broncos, right?
Yeah.
So Lockie made me realise, he asked me the question. Now, the way he asks questions, the way we ask questions, especially during the program and stuff like that, it's NLP. So I don't know if you've done much NLP. Yeah.
Probably made a whole snap band for that when I was...
Right, snap you out of your little shit.
My brother's a psychologist, my youngest brother.
Oh, hectic. Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you see, I can understand now
I grew
why.
up on this. Yeah.
So I'm going to do a program next month with Elizabeth Ann Walker. So she's she's down the Goldie.
Okay.
She's incredible, bro. Her week-long course that she does, the people that have come out of that are incredible. But essentially, the way Lockie asked me this question, he's like, what is it that you've attached to success that you're holding on to subconsciously, that if you find success, what are you losing? I thought about it, and I thought it was time. I thought that I didn't want to make money and success because I thought I'd have less time to do the shit I love, which is like play basketball, game, like all the fun stuff.
Play.
Yeah, just be a kid.
Yeah.
But I realized as he asked me this question, and it hit, I knew I unlocked something because I cried.
Yeah.
I fucking let go. I was like, holy shit. And I get emotional talking about it now, but essentially I realized that I didn't say yes to the Broncos contract because I thought that meant losing all my loved ones. Because I moved from Woodford, which is my little country town, down to Brizzy.
Yeah.
So then for the rest of my life, if I hadn't tapped into this, my subconscious was protecting me from success because it knew what came with that.
Yeah.
Or what it perceived came with it.
Success alone.
Right? So,
yeah, wow.
Oh, dude. And
shit,
I had this, and I got goosebumps and shit, and I just like, holy crap, I think I've just untapped. And that's doing the work. That's what we do when we rewire your shadow. It's understanding, what are you subconsciously holding on to? What are you telling yourself story-wise that's stopping you from doing this, this, and this? Yeah. Why do you keep finding that toxic fucking relationship? Yeah. Oh, because your dad did this when you were 6. You know, like all these things. And it's very like, we also understand our scope of practice. Like, we'd love to send them to professionals if they need it, like your psychologists and stuff. But why can't we ask these deeper questions? Yeah. This is how we get to the point of people not wanting to kill themselves, not wanting to be, or not being in a state of depression, anxiety, or finding purpose in life. And purpose can be being a mother. Yeah. Purpose can just be being. Yeah.
I think it's incredible, like how some people ask, like, your own burden's your own burden, your own purpose is your own purpose. Like, there's no purpose that's better than another. Just because I'm playing rugby for Australia, it doesn't mean my purpose is any higher up than someone who's facilitating 2 people. Yeah. Hey, they're actually directly working with people, hands-on. Like, I think that's incredible. It's funny, like, I used to convert things in terms of, like, when we Save Your World, the whole thing was Save Your World. Oh, it's only getting this many views, and how can we get it out there more? And it's not this and that. And I was like, actually, when I sat there, I was like, fuck, like, I know what happens when I read this. So if there's 200 people reading this, wow, when we first started. Whereas I was like, we need thousands of people. And then as soon as I let go of that, boom, it just took off. But it was my blockage that was holding a whole business back, of not just me, but other people.
Oh, dude.
It's incredible.
Once you become conscious of the things that are unconscious, and this is where, do you know Carl Jung?
Yeah, Carl Jung.
So
Jungians.
It's like, I want to do that course purely based off the fact that, you know, Jung brought it into the Western society of understanding what shamans had been doing for years and understanding our shadow. Yeah. So now that I understand this shit, my life's changed. And like I just said then, my success is changing because I've not holding myself back anymore. I was my own block. It wasn't anyone else's fault. And I also understand, guys, like, if you're on the path to building a business or like a podcast can take years to build to a point where you're making money from it. Yeah. I mean, I already am, but because I've changed the game, I don't listen to rules. Yeah. In it says you're supposed to get a certain amount of listens, views, and all this other shit to get a sponsor. I said, no, fuck that. I got more value to give. I'm just going to ask someone, hey, do you want to sponsor my episodes? Yeah. Got 2 sponsors, right? Like, it's, you know, you can take what you want as well. Yeah. And that's something that changed my life, is stepping into my dark masculine. It's,
okay.
Right. Yeah. So I was always super feminine.
Yeah.
And then I'm assuming that means you watched that video of me screaming in that kid's face.
Yeah.
So in December, that's what I used to tap into on the football field. That's what I've been missing since 20 years old, since I quit footy, right? When you're on the football field, you're in masculine, you're in competitive, you're like wrestling, you're fucking dominating people, all that stuff. That's awesome for men, especially. I hadn't felt that for so many years.
So what happened when you finished? How were you expressing that?
Dude.
Were you?
No, right? So off the field, I was Mr. Nice Guy.
So you would have become pretty bitter, eh?
Extremely. Yep. But I'd snap.
Projectors, bitter.
I'd snap, bro. Like, I would always be nice because I'm a nice guy, but I'm a good guy now.
Yeah.
I'm not the nice guy that'll just let people walk over me. It's like, no, I'll take what I want when I want it.
Yeah.
Not by hurting other people, but just understanding you can take what you want.
Yeah.
You can set boundaries. You can tell people what you want. So, which I'm assuming you probably would have figured out during that time, understanding, you know, your masculine, your feminine,
100%.
the flow and the do. It's
it's all everyone talks about, right? The yin, the yang.
Yeah. You train in and you train out.
Yeah. And the best thing, one of the most incredible and empowering things I found was, one, you can't have a big light side without a big dark side.
Yeah.
The guys laugh at me because I call it the light and the dark wolf. Have you heard the story, the light and the dark wolf?
It's
not my story. It's been passed around for
I've seen it pop up, right? So it's funny you say this. My mate and I, that BBB, Breathable Barbecue, our umbrella brand is called the Bear Wolf Collective.
Okay.
So I'm all about wolves, bro. Yeah. So go for it.
Yeah. So the Lion of the Dark Wolf, it's old like Cherokee sort of Indian sort of tale where it's like
Native American, right?
Native American one. So there's a story of a white wolf and a dark wolf, and like they're telling the kids of the tribe and whatnot, and okay, there's this vicious big black wolf and a big white wolf, and they're like, the dark wolf is anger, it's fear, it's jealousy. The light wolf is love, it's compassion, it's joy, and they're like, these two wolves are going to fight. And they're like, which wolf is going to win? And the kids are all guessing, and which side. And they ask, like, what wolf's going to win? It's like, whichever one you feed the most. So if you're feeding your light side up, it will hold your dark side in balance. But if you don't have that, like, dark side, that's what we're drawing on, right? Every time I go on the field, I'm drawing on that. Doesn't mean I'm becoming it and I'm, like, reckless with it. It just means, like, I love my anger now. I used to be an angry dude. Like frustrated because I was so out of alignment. I'd be frustrated. It's funny. I got told by so many different people, like I could act chilled, but the people who saw were like, "Bro, you got to let some of that out." I'd be like, "What, man? I'm sweet. Like, I'm chill.
I'm chill, bro.
I'm chill, bro." They're like, "You're not chilled. You're stupefied yourself through numbing yourself." But I had all this anger, and so then one thing was like I didn't want to show, I didn't want to be the angry guy. Because who wants to be that angry guy? Because everyone thinks anger is like a really bad emotion.
That's bad.
Yeah, but once again, like if you have it in check, like to express that, like you said, when you're screaming and you're releasing it, it's so freeing.
It's primal,
it's empowering,
man.
Yeah.
You know, so you go back to evolution, we get given these beautiful things, these emotions, everything to protect us and save us, but we are taught to suppress it. And with suppression comes expression. So you get to a point where you're suppressing all these feelings, and I talked about it with my good friend Shan from the Gold Coast. She's incredible. She's an amazing sensual love and self-love coach. And we're talking about, the suppression that men go through where, say, a 60-year-old man's walking down the street and he sees an attractive 18-year-old girl. He thinks she's attractive because she is, which is okay. You can think that. Acting on it is the bad part. But what he's done is he suppressed this feeling and told himself he's a piece of shit because he looked at that young woman and thought she's attractive. That's all he did. He thought about it. It's normal. We're humans. We look at other good-looking people and we think, oh, they're attractive. Cool. Move on with your life.
Yeah.
But the fact that we get told to suppress all these really evil thoughts or whatever.
He's making it wrong.
Right. And then eventually that shit breaks out because it's like, I'm sick of you telling me I'm not allowed to think or be or, live. So I'm going to fucking come out. And that's when all this sexual abuse, domestic violence, all these awful things that are happening, they come out through suppression.
Yeah.
So if we teach men especially to express themselves more, talk more about their shit, be okay with it and not feel bad or be burdened or feel weak or whatever it might be, all of a sudden we have a very healthy culture coming about.
Yeah. Because
we're releasing, we're not suppressing anymore.
Yeah.
So, and again, that's the shadow stuff, bro. That's what we work on. It's like,
there's nothing wrong with appreciating beauty.
No. It's life.
100%.
Look at these plants that I've got two 21-year-old roommates that are awesome, bro. The most beautiful young women that just are so free and loving. And I'd never had plants in the house. Yeah. I was just lazy. I was slack. I didn't want to look after them. Yeah. But as soon as they brought these in, they named them. They call them like Jeffrey and stuff, and they give them love. And it's like these things grow like crazy, bro. Like,
have you seen that Dr. Emoto study?
Hey, you can even talk to water.
Yeah. Well, it's all conscious, right? It's all living just because we don't think it has a heartbeat or it's not aware that it's self-aware just because it's not a 3D being. Oh yeah, I've even the way you explained like your roommates, like they're 21 beautiful women, but you didn't go from physically, like there's so many different ways of beauty.
Energetically.
Like energetically. And that's the thing I appreciate more so than anything. That's funny how like when you're younger, everyone said, don't judge a book by its cover, and you're going after the most physically attractive woman or this or that, or the aesthetics of like this car, and now like where I'm at, it's like, it's the energy that someone brings in. Like it's who I'm vibing with.
Here's a question.
What I'm vibing with.
And be honest, how did you feel when you walked in the door?
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you didn't know where you were coming.
Oh,
you could have been coming to some crack house.
I did see the big light. I thought,
oh, shit.
Well, obviously my strongest sense is my smell.
Gotcha.
So straight away when I walked in the door, you gave me a big grizzly hug, and I smelt the incense burn, and I was like, straight away, just comfort. Bang,
I'm home.
let the guard down. Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
I'm
the same, bro. It smells everything. If someone's got bad breath or something, or they stink, I'm like, oh, again. Sort yourself out, eh? So it's amazing. I think, I had an incredible partner for 3 years. We separated in December. Nothing was wrong. She's Canadian. I didn't. Yeah. I just felt like I'd leveled up, and she wasn't on that path as well, which is fine. We meet everyone where they're at. But I just made the decision that I wanted more in a relationship. It was a tough decision because she's incredible. Tams is one of the most amazing women. I wouldn't be the technician without Tams. And I'm so grateful for the experience we had together. But I remember this saying that Jay Shetty said, where it was like, he believes there's no soul mates. It's a heap of mates that help you find your soul. So it's like, yeah, I could stay attached to like, oh, I'm never going to find the one. I've had, multiple partners, but I'm always friends with them afterwards because I just understand that just wasn't our path together. Yeah. But I've recently started seeing someone who's incredible energetically. She's beautiful. She's understanding. She's caring. And she does this one thing that I've always wanted in a partner is it's what I do for everyone else, which is like listen and actually ask questions. Listen and care about what you like.
Yeah.
And then ask questions about it. Not just be like, oh yeah, cool. It's like, oh, so how did that make you feel?
Yeah.
Like, what? Oh, that's awesome. And it's like,
and it's not just saying that, right? It's like actually you can feel when someone's
they embody
genuinely interested. Like that's a relationship, right? There's energy going both ways. There's an exchange that's
reciprocation,
equal.
Yeah.
It's equal. As soon as something's out of alignment, you're going to feel it, and then someone's going to get bitter, or it doesn't work. Someone's bringing in all the money, and the person at home isn't, maybe keeping the house clean or providing some form of service. Then there's a balance. Like it's not balanced there. So someone's going to be bitter. Then people, like you said, people hold on to that resentment, and then it eventually explode.
Yeah, that's huge.
I had that with my partner. Like I would come home for a while and just not do anything. I was like, it was entitled. Like I look back on it now and I laugh because I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Like what a
something.
Yeah. But like I would just do nothing and I would just expect everything. And it was like, then when I finally saw it, I was like, wow, like I've been a piece of shit. Like I've not actually, like this isn't fair. And
you guys are doing well now?
Yeah.
Cool. Of course. Like obviously you've become.
Well, exactly like what you said. Like you both you level up. Whether you do it separately, together, however you do it, like you're gonna attract someone who's, well, I don't know if it happens with everyone, but I just put it out there, and that's sort of where we're at.
Exactly,
and
bro.
We're both like I'm learning from her a lot.
Yeah, that's cool.
Man, I've learned like you spoke about Carl Jung. Like I learned, like she teaches me quite a lot.
Yeah, right. So she got you into that.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's awesome. And that's so moving forward, obviously we'll start to wrap this up. We've already done an hour and a half and I've realized we want to respect your time. I'm sure we could talk for 10 hours, but what's your plans with your partner and stuff? You looking at fatherhood anytime soon, or is it just going to be something that flows again?
Oh, that's it's definitely on the cards, but it's something like we've spoken about.
Yeah, just let it happen kind of thing.
Yeah, well, to be honest, like, we're not sure yet. We're both in we're not against it, we're not for it.
I like that because the reason I ask that question like that is because I feel like a lot of people get very defensive about that conversation of like parenthood or money, and I'm so open about everything, bro. Like I actually am very similar to you where I'm not even sure if I want kids.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing. I love
kids.
kids.
A phase where I thought that I wouldn't have kids.
Yeah, right.
And that was part of my conditioning as well, from just conversations I'd had with a friend of mine, and then those beliefs got blurred with mine, and whatnot. And I could see it was like the state I was in when I was coming through something. It was like, why would I want to bring a child into this world when I see how negatively geared it is? But then as well, like, I had a lens on that was only seeing the negative too. Once I let go of all that, like, we know what's going on.
Yeah.
We know there's puppeteers pulling strings, but does that actually affect me? No, it doesn't. I can
create your own
choose for it
bubble.
not to. Yeah, exactly. So
Especially if you got 120 acres that you can build on.
yeah, bro.
Are you going to live on there?
That's the plan. Yeah.
When you build your commune, can I come live there?
It's definitely not going to be a commune.
Solar
Just
power and everything.
Just putting that out there.
So
But
good.
yeah, solar power. It's got some creeks and some running
Animals that you
water
can hunt down.
no animals. Well, there's a lot of sort of natives, and like we've got a couple koalas and some black cockatoos and a few things like that. But the plan. We don't want to sort of have any cows or anything like that.
Yeah, cool.
I've actually in my place in Brizzy, we've got some alpacas, which is interesting.
Oh, hectic.
Yeah. But they're more pets than anything.
Yeah, okay. Dude, so it sounds like you're creating an epic life. Obviously, you're living an epic life, and, you know, the journey from before to now it's like the quantum, right? You filled in those spots and you're back to where you knew you'd always want to be and get to be. So
Well, I think the thing with that is, like, you could look at my day to day and you wouldn't think it's incredible at all. Like, I'm so content doing things that most people would think are boring.
Yep.
Like, I go to training, I recover, I come home, I eat, I'll have a nap, or I'll do some meditation, or I'll jump in the pool, you know, I'll read my book, I'll go back to training. Like, there's nothing really that's like in your face. Like every now and again I'll go out and experience this or go do this. Or, but you look at my day to day, you'd be like, fuck, that's pretty boring. Like, I connect with my mates at training.
Yep.
Or, you know, my brothers on the weekend, we might go camping or go for a hike, or most of the time just with my partner, just hanging out. But for me, that brings pure joy, because I'm just so content with being with myself now, and I really love just doing the little things. Like, my everyday life is become a joy, which I think is such a gift that it doesn't take me anymore to, like, back when I was younger, I'd go to Dream World, then I'd go to this nightclub, then in the morning would go here, then I'd go experience that. And it's like I was doing 4 things in one day, and now I'll do 1 thing a week, and that's me. It's 2 people out there. I want to just come back into my hub.
I resonate with that heaps, and I'm the same, dude. Like, weekends, I'm just spend time with, like, my partner or my mates like Merv, and just be, bro. Play some ball, you know, play some fucking, just do nothing. Watch I've been watching Black Sails lately. Mad
Black
TV
Sails?
show.
No, what's that?
Get on Netflix. It's like Pirates, Game of Thrones Pirates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's
okay.
good. Yeah.
I'm due for something new too.
Yeah, Black Sails. Highly recommend.
Remind me after this.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, please do.
But honestly, like, I'm the same, man. Like, I've always been a gamer my whole life. So if each week I want to get like a few hours of just gaming on the PC, I'm a PC or console, Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. Just chill. I'm the same. Like, my days, yes, I work my ass off. Yes, I edit content, help however I can, create, you know, value content or whatever. But end of the day, I'm the same, where it's like I don't have some hectic millionaire's morning routine where you go for a 50K run and meditate for 2 hours and all this other shit. It's like, it's very straightforward, and anyone can do this. Yeah. Anyone can. So to finish this up, brother, is there anything you'd like to tell my listeners? Anything in particular? Any quotes or anything you've lived by, or anything you'd like to give them before you finish up?
It's nothing that's coming.
You've killed it. You've absolutely smashed this, man.
I'm pretty happy with how we've shared.
Yeah, agreed. I'm very grateful for this. I'm grateful for your time. You know, that hour and 40 went by, I felt like, in like 10 minutes. So
you didn't get in that vortex.
But knowing your schedule now, what we saw before this all started, we'll let you get off and get back to Twin Waters and do your thing, brother. But thank you so much for this.
Appreciate it, bro. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. And obviously remember that if this episode resonated with you in any way, feel free to share with someone, share on your stories, rate and review. As much as I don't focus too much on the downloads and other stuff, obviously I'd like to get to a point where I'm impacting millions of lives at some point with my incredible guests. So thank you for listening again, and thank you, James.
Awesome.
And thanks, Merv.